We're talking about Blade Assault by NeoWiz Games. Blade Assault is an action platformer, sort of. It features this character, aptly named Kill, on his road to revenge. But on that road to revenge is a lot of enemies. I feel like it has taken inspiration from Hades, but we'll get there shortly. The story for this game is pretty inconsequential. It's definitely besides the action. And, well, it is a roguelite, so you're going to be repeating some of these sections over and over and over again, but it does that satisfying roguelite thing where you're collecting different types of credits, and you can turn those credits in your actual playthrough for healing and upgrades and stuff like that. And between missions, you can actually level your character, so you do get stronger over time, even if you do keep losing. And that's an important thing for me because this game actually meets you with some good challenge. It's not just a walk in the park. As you're progressing through, and the more enemies you crush, the difficulty bar on the top right actually fills in, and it'll level up the difficulty. And you'll see that number come up and up and up, and what it does is it spawns stronger enemies. Some of them have an immunity to crowd control kind of attacks, so you're not going to freeze them to keep them still. At the end of each of these kind of rooms, we'll call it, you have the option of picking maybe either electricity or fire, and one of those two doors leads to another room with another challenge full of enemies, and when you destroy them you get either the fire or the electrical upgrade, just like you chose. That weapon imbued with elemental attacks. There's a lot of recurring enemies, and you'll get used to those enemy types. And I found that when you move to a new world, we'll call it, after several levels you have a boss fight, and then you're on to the next kind of area. All of them seem to have just a skin swap. The enemies react the same way, and there's really just kind of a small enemy, a medium, and a large, and then a projectile shooting one, and it doesn't go much deeper than that until you get into these boss fights, because they have a much larger health bar, and they're doing attacks that you haven't seen before. If that boss enemy does send you packing, well, it's an interesting kind of hub world that you return to. There's a lot of different shops that you can kind of spec your character up, level up your different abilities, or give you more damage with normal attacks, or more health in your health bar, and that's cool. And it's all kind of situated around this underground town. You find a lot of people along there that were really cool, in my opinion. And some characters that you can become friends with, you give them gifts, and then you can control those characters, and that switches up the gameplay quite a bit. Another kind of nod to Hades, where you give them a gift, you level their friendship up to level 3, and they give you some sort of bonus. But I thought it was good because it adds another system of upgrades into this game. It does get a little complicated, but it allows for a really high ceiling. You can make your character very powerful, and that's something that's extremely satisfying in a roguelite. Graphically, the game is not terribly impressive. It has its own style to it, but it's not a super high resolution thing. It doesn't go for realism, and I'm kind of glad it didn't, because it really isn't necessary, and this game is just all about the action. There is a pretty interesting soundtrack behind. It's generally some sort of energetic kind of electronic music, and that fit very well. It doesn't get terribly repetitive, but I think it just does the job. You may be able to gather from my explanation, I had a very good time with this game. I had a lot of fun, and I'm looking at it with a fine-tooth comb to really find some of the issues with it. I think it does a very good job at putting that action in the forefront. It has just enough of a story to set up a good premise and kind of drag you along. The world is really cool to me, and I kind of wish I learned a little bit more about it. And if you do enjoy roguelite games, or 2D kind of action games, I think this is one for you. I have to give it a 7. I'm impressed, but it just doesn't stand out enough on its own. Blade Assault consists of a satisfying gameplay loop with good challenge. The character building options make this a standout among other roguelite titles that are similar.